Hey everyone, Action Movie Dad here with a little bonus video about all of the invisible effects in Action Movie Kid videos. And no, I'm not talking about this kind of invisible effect, though that was very hard as well. But I'm talking about some more mundane stuff, so gear up for some really exciting, boring effects. Now normally I would post a video like this on our other channel, Action Movie Dad, but some of you may have not heard of that channel, so I'm here to promote it as well. So when we were filming our Fruit of the Loom commercial, it's supposed to open with me drinking this little cup of coffee. And by the time we got to this real take, I was drinking my real coffee down until it was practically invisible. It is below this line here, and I continued to film this. And I could have reshot it, but by that time I'd already stitched it together with the other pieces of footage and all of that jazz. So I went back to work on a stupid invisible effect. So I started with my original footage, and I did some motion tracking. I tracked the two sides of the cup all the way through, and applied that all to this null. Once I had a null that was effectively where that cup of coffee was, I created a blue solid. I attached that to the null, went through, added a few masking keyframes that just kind of masked the edges of my coffee cup as I stepped through here. So then I took this still image of coffee, masked that out, dropped it into this composition, parented it to that stupid null, used the alpha mask, so as I played through the footage, the coffee would look reasonably like it was in the mug. And right toward the end somewhere, I've added some rotation keyframes based around this anchor point. So when it rotates like that, it looks like the coffee just jiggling in the mug a little bit. Then I took this awesome shockwave footage from Video Copilot's Motion Pulse and added it to the very beginning of the video. So check that out. And as that motion pulse played, kind of angled for the cup, I slowly faded it out and tinted my coffee with this color, a kind of creamier coffee color, as that dissipated. So now I have a little bit of interesting movement that makes it look like I had just poured creamer into my coffee cup. On top of all that, I threw some stock smoke from Action Essentials right on top of all that footage. And when we play through, look at this, a steaming cup of coffee. Now, obviously, really filming someone pouring some creamer into coffee would be prohibitively expensive, and we really just felt that CG was the best route. No, I'm kidding, I'm just an idiot. So, there's one thing you wouldn't really expect to be a visual effect, and now I'm going to run through some of my other examples. Now this video may really be one of the reasons for our whole viral success. I think it really connected with people because everybody played this game when they were a kid. But it also has this weird little invisible effect thing right at the beginning, and I'll reveal it to you now. Now at the time, when we were making these videos, I would just play with James, and he would be really playing these fun games. I didn't know we were trying to film viral internet videos or anything like that. So this is really just him playing. And right at the beginning, before he takes his leap, he gives Dad a nice look right to camera and then jumps. And this moment is pretty cute, but it makes the whole clip a little bit more self-aware, I thought. So I actually took a still frame of James' head right at this moment and animated it over top of his turning and looking at camera face.
You really replaced my head?
Well, you were looking right at the camera, and
I can't believe you replaced my head.
I love. Here's a direct comparison, and I'm so sorry if you can't unsee it. At the very beginning of this Doctor Strange video, I have James waving to kids, playing here in the background and kind of looking over when he says goodbye, but you may have noticed that these kids look a little strange. In fact, these kids are not there at all. These kids are some pre-keyed stock elements that I had to kind of add some fake shadows to and throw on a little bit of a rim light to try to make them look like they fit into this scene and its lighting properly. One of the main reasons was because this was way after school, there weren't really any kids around. And in fact, you'll see this group of playing kids in the background of a handful of other Action Movie Kid videos. There they are getting passed by that car. Here they are inside that train multiplied like a billion times. Down in the bottom corner, there they are playing. In fact, in this Beauty and the Beast one, the crowd characters in the background are also stock footage. So adding people is one thing, but another problem we run into is removing people. So for example, this kind of distracting person right behind James had to be painted out before we completed this video. And here's another silly one. For the Disney World videos, we had to flop this shot for screen direction, but then her name tag was backwards, so we quickly replaced her name tag to be the right direction, even though everything else is kind of wrong in it. But as a quick read, still looks reasonable. And I haven't even mentioned stitching together shots yet. Stitching together takes is super common in my work. I mean, honestly, when you're working with children and visual effects, sometimes you gotta just Birdman the crap out of it. In fact, in some cases, the two halves of the video are shot at completely different times. For example, I shot this RoboCop toy half of the footage in 2017 and stitched it together with footage that I had shot of James 3 years ago. And in this video, I never shot an empty plate of the kitchen, so I actually had to go take some stills to replace the background about 2 years later. So I don't really know when to quit. Many people joke, we can always fix it in post, but I live that mantra. Manipulating video is the sandbox I've been playing in ever since I was James' age. I watched every behind-the-scenes documentary I could get my hands on, and I've really internalized this way of thinking. How do you move the camera so a visual effect will be the easiest to pull off? How do you layer a scene to make the effect most believable? I learned how to film things knowing what could be fixed or enhanced later. And when you think this way, the actual filming of your plates becomes just a small part of the puzzle. You're gathering pixels, and ultimately you'll have your way with them. Now, this isn't to say that it's the best way, but for me it can be the most economical. I love a good practical effect when we can film them, but at the same time I never have to shy away from using the best take of James because a light wasn't shot. I know that sometimes I can use 2 different takes in the same shot if it works better. And honestly, anytime I've tried to force visual effects on a bad performance, it never really works out. Do I use visual effects in dumb places where it would have been way less work to just pause for a second and refill my coffee? Absolutely. But I also hate to slow down when I have excited kids willing to help and work so damn hard. Honestly, the best of our videos happen organically and in the moment, and if it takes a little bit more work for Dad to erase a logo or blur a license plate or whatever, I think it's worth it. So the real point of this video and all the videos I make is to show that sometimes you just gotta create, and you've also gotta get creative. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Embrace them when you can. And lastly, don't be intimidated by your imagination. Prove it. If you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at some of the smaller effects in Action Movie Kid, consider looking at some of the bigger behind-the-scenes on Action Movie Dad. If you're interested at all in the world of visual effects, I try to share every tip and trick that I can over on that channel. I'm also pretty good at responding to comments if you guys have individual questions. So check it out. We appreciate your time and hope you have a wonderful day.